Hey guys, so it's BenjaminAhn, and today we're going to do the 3rd grade lesson 3 worksheet. So we're just going to jump right into it here. So the first section is write the number in order from greatest to least. So we could do this in multiple ways. Let's look at the first question. So the first way you could do it, so as you can see in this question, they're all numbers that are 1,000. This is 7,000, this is 5,000, and this is 3,000. So the easiest way to do it is just look at the first digit. If this is 7, this is 5, and this is 3, then we'll know that 7,837 is the greatest. Then next is 5,126. And then last is 3,541. So you could just easily look at the first number, and that'll allow you to find the greatest to least order. Take a look at another one. So let's take a look at something like number 4. So first, obviously, we're going to see this one starts with 9, this one starts with a 2, and this one starts with a 1. But don't forget that because this is a 9, which looks like the highest, but it's only 9,000. This is 20,000. This is 17,000. So basically, this is actually the whole number. You're looking at the number in front of the comma, So that means in this situation, the greatest to least order will be 22,600, 17,655, and then 9,860. So as you can see, you don't always look at the first number because there could be greater numbers that have a smaller start number. So we'll just do one more quick one before we go to the next section. So let's take a look at number 6 here. We're going to look at the things in front of the comma, in front of the comma, in front of the comma. So this one is 110, this one's 109, and this one's 119, which means this one's the greatest, this one's the second greatest, and this one is the last greatest. So let's write that down. The greatest one is 119,540. And the next greatest one is 110,421. And then the last greatest, or the least greatest, is the 109,863. So, quick review of this page. Make sure to look at the number before the comma, choose the greatest one, and go down from there. So let's go to the next section. Compare the numbers, right? Less than, greater than, or equal to for each. So I said it right now, but I'll say it again. This one, this symbol that looks like the Pac-Man. This one's the less than. This one, that's the opposite of the Pac-Man, is the greater than. And this one, the equal sign, is literally just the equals. And a quick way you could differentiate these two is let's take a look at it. Pretend it's like an alligator. Roar. If you're on the back side of the alligator, you're safe. You're less. If you're on the other side of the alligator, you're eaten. You're more. So you could just kind of use this alligator analogy to kind of let you know what side's greater or less. So let's look at the first question here. The first question is 629 is blank to 631. So how can we do this? We do this by going from the first digit down. So the first digit here is 6, and then the second digit is 2 and 3. So we know 2 is greater than 3, so we can see here that 631 is greater than 229. So to remember, the greater one gets eaten by the alligator, which means that's the symbol. Let's take a look at another one here. Let's take a look at number 3. So the first number is the same. The second number is the same. The third number, this one's 4, this one's 0. So we know that this one is greater this time. So the greater one gets eaten by the alligator. So it'd be like that. And let's take a look at one more. Take a look at number 5. So 8, 1, 1. They're the same number. Means they're equal. Equals are the easiest to know. If you know that they're just the exact same thing, then you'll know which one's equal and which one's not. Let's do one last one actually. Let's take a look at number 7 here. So we have a 9, then a 9, and then a 1, and then a 1, and then a 2, and then nothing actually. It's not. If you see nothing here, don't think of it as a 0 because it's not a 0. That means if we're looking at in this perspective, this would be 9, 12. and this would actually be something like 091. So this isn't even 910 or anything. This is just 91, which means this one is eaten by the alligator because it's greater. So that's how you could tell if numbers are greater, less than, or equal. You just look at the first digit and you kind of go down until you find the greater one. Round to the nearest 10. So let's go over rounding real quick. So let's say we'll give you two numbers. We'll give you 4. Hold on. We'll do 14 and then 37. So remember, when you were let's write all the numbers here. So remember, let's take a look at 14 first, actually. So you're gonna look at the last digit here, which is 4. You're gonna mark 4 out, and if it's 4 or below, then you're gonna round down to whatever it is, whether it's tens or hundreds. So in this situation, let's say we're rounding to the tens, and 4 we're going down, which means 14. Which means 14 would round down to 10. Now let's take a look at number 37. And we're gonna look at the last digit again. It ends in 7. If it's 5 or more, then you're gonna have to round up. Same thing, tens or hundreds, and we're gonna round to tens again. So 37. That means we're gonna round up to 40. So that's just a little quick recap of what rounding is. So let's take a look at these questions. We'll do number 1 first. Number 1 is 16. So we're going to look at the back digits. It's 6, and we know that if it's 5 or more, we have to round up, which means we round this up to the nearest 10. And we round up, you kind of just add 1 to the number in the front, which gives you 20. Take a look at number 3. Number 3, we end in 4. And if it's 4 or less, then that means it has to be round down, which means the 54 becomes 50. Don't forget, we're rounding to the nearest 10 here, so we can all go here. But now let's take a look at a bit of a tricky one. Let's take a look at 5. So 5, it doesn't have a place before. So obviously, first things first, if it's 5 and we have to round up with 5, which means this is just gonna be 10. Because we're rounding up, which becomes 10. But if, say, the number was just 4, that means you have to round down. So what would you round that into? What you actually round that into is just 0. Because there is no 10 before tens. So you're just gonna go with 0. So if you ever get the question, what's 4 rounded to the nearest 10? It's gonna be 0. So that's just a quick heads up. Don't forget, this is really important. Remember the number line and remember the rules. 4 below, round down. 5 or more, round up. That's super important for rounding, and it makes it 10 times easier. Let's go to the last page here. We're going to do word problems now. So let's take a look at some of these. Let's take a look at number 1. Sarah has 46 marbles. She wants to know approximately how many marbles she has if she rounds the number to the nearest 10. How many marbles does Sarah have when rounded to the nearest 10? So just a little quick heads up. So we know she has 46 marbles. And when you hear the word approximately, you can kind of you could like assume it's going to be a rounding problem. So let's take a look at this. She has 46 marbles, and she wants to know how many marbles does Sarah have when rounded to the nearest 10. So this is super easy. The number's 46, as we've done multiple times with like a 6. If it's 5 or more, we round up, which means this becomes 50. So the answer is 50. Super simple rounding question. Let's try number 2.